Welcome, guys.
Hello.
Hi.
Howdy.
Good to see
I'm
you
always
again.
doing. Hey, Dan.
I'm
Hi.
good. I'm always doing the wave whenever we're starting.
Welcome, guys. Tom Goldrup, Jim Goldrup. They're film historians, traveled the world, went through crazy times, have crazy stories, always. And so I'm always happy to play host on this Talking with Tom and Jim. To my right or left, I should always just say beside me, because who knows where you're going to end up. I know you'll be beside me, is Daniel Dye, who's a producer here on our show and is helping out and filling in for Matthew Rose, who is not dead, but not here. And that's that's all I know at this
You
point.
killed my joke, Jeff. My joke is now dead. Because you always
good.
say he's not here, and then I say, but he's still here. Not. It's gone. It's gone. Now I have explained a joke that we didn't even do.
Nice. So, Tom, Jim, welcome. How are you doing today? What's new?
Hanging in there, sometimes by the throat, sometimes by the fingernails.
But we're still here.
Yeah, we're still here.
So Dan has a question. I don't know what, again, I'm kind of scared. I don't know what it's going to be, but Dan has a question, so I will sit back on this segment and let Dan, I'm really sorry in advance, let Dan
ask a question. Haha, question hour with Dan. Our usual 10-minute format will be expanded into 1 hour just to get through the question.
Get through the question. My question has 18 parts.
That's right. Let's start with part one.
I might run and hide for the next hour.
I know. See,
you just leave and wait for him to come back. Wait for him to be done. Yeah.
So I want to go back. I'm not going to let you off the hook for this vaudeville stuff. And when I talk about vaudeville stuff, I'm actually talking about the transition of like stage acting to film and kind of how that evolved over time. Only because like when I think of stage acting, I mean, there's a lot of different types of stage acting, but when I see it the most myself is when you're watching a movie and you're like, oh, that's a stage actor that was evolving into a film actor. Like that's a technique or that is a blocking choice you would have made on stage. And now they're like playing around with it on film and seeing how it works out here, but it's not quite evolved to whatever it became. And so I was just curious, like, what kind of experience, did you have any experiences like that where or when you're looking at films now versus films before, like that evolution or what? I am going into the many different questions. I'll leave it at that. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, film has evolved from the early days until what it is now.
Yeah, a number of the actors we talked to even mentioned about how it used to be the art of articulation. You spoke plain like you did in the theater, to where it became today where you don't understand a lot of people.
They mumble.
They mumble, or even some big director, I don't know who it was, who likes it when the actors aren't understood and every word isn't understood.
Because that's what it's like in real life.
It's more real that way, you know. It's but
Marlon Brando, he had the art of being what you call a mumbling actor, but he knew how to do it. He was still understood. But going back to the transition, yeah, we had a cousin. He passed away back in Maine, and he had these old recordings of Casey at the Bat, and some of those that were made around 1890s or 1900, wow. And it was so melodramatic. You almost couldn't
make sense of it
because you started listening to this, how they were doing it. And Casey at the Bat, and so it was way overacting. One of the actors we talked to named Robert M Hart.
Well, I would say in some cases you're trying to present visual content through voice, and so a lot of that, at least for me, that melodramatic is trying to paint these bigger than life pictures in your head because you're not seeing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the early days of film, before they even had sound, you had to really do the overacting of the expressions and everything because everything had to come out of here. And But one of the actors we interviewed named Robert M Hart, he studied in England and then he came back here and was a Broadway actor. He came out to do films. He said he hates seeing his early films because he hadn't made the transition from stage to film, and he's way overacting. And other people are acting more like they do in movies, and then you really stand out because if you're really overacting. It was a transition. It is a transition. I love watching the Barrymores, John and Lionel Barrymore, and some of the people from those days. Today, people will say, well, they're overacting, they're hamming it up. But when they did it, it was believable for the time. And I guess I'd be guilty in the sense if I could play a character that could really ham it up, I would love that more than playing it straight.
More color,
a little more color. But Peter O'Toole said the first thing an actor should learn is the art of speaking, and because maybe it's me, maybe I'm getting older, maybe it's my ears, but now I got hearing aids. When, like Jim said earlier, when we watch a new movie, a lot of times I can't understand half of what they're saying because they're going.
Yeah. And it's amazing that sometimes I need to put on the subtitles because
you have to put on the closed
on my hearing, and
sometimes they say
sometimes even the subtitles have in parentheses inaudible.
Yeah, they couldn't understand it. So it's gone from here where it was really big to here where we don't hear, and I don't know where it'll end up going, but does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. It does. And I was also curious. You mentioned one of the actors that you had talked to about their experience with it. Now it sounds like that person was like, cringeworthy at their original roles. But did any of them other ones talk about that transition, or were there any stories that you can remember relating to that? I mean, I personally have had like that. Where you walk in you're, a stage actor of melodrama going into a film and I, write off a line and they're like, oh, I'm sorry, we can't use that. Our sound wasn't set for that volume. I'm like, oh yeah, totally your fault. Not me not knowing how this works.
Right. Yeah. Not too many have talked about the transition because, I mean, only a few of the ones we talked to actually started in the days of silence and then transferred into sound. Of course, and then a lot of the people we talked to started in theater in the 30s.
Yeah.
Our friend Walter Reed said that it's terrible. We really overacted in the film, but I don't think they were overacting. They were realistic to me. I mean, and
you can understand.
And you can understand what they said, and they weren't articulating like, trying to, articulate real clear and letting that get in the way of the character. They're just talking normal, but you could understand and stand them and stuff.
Well, I think that expression that might be considered as overacting, I think there's, at least to me, there's an idea that it's extremely clear motivations in action and character. Like these characters are they're personified intent. It's I'm getting on my soapbox now, but there's different ways of acting, but that very clear, like if I'm a villain, it's very clear the intention behind the actions and movements. It might look fake.
Yeah, it can. Yeah, you can go too far that way, and I considered myself kind of overacting when I played the crazy guy in Rat Race, and that's where Prospector Pete came from. Jeff got me from. Prospector Pete was kind of, people might say, was overacting. He wasn't.
Question. Oh, sorry. I thought you were done. Sorry, go ahead.
Your Prospector Pete. Yeah, you're going to go do that and this and the other. Instead of saying, "Oh yeah, I'm going to go do this, that, and the other." but that's his character. You know, I don't. It's not overacting in the sense that that's him. That's the way he is. Some people said Peter O'Toole overacted. No, Peter O'Toole can get away with the characters he played if he was more extravagant than some of the other people in the film. It fit, and it was real. It looked. It fit. It was his character. That's the way
Yeah,
he
it
is.
was
like it
still
when
it was
he-
still grounded in the truth of that character. Like
Yeah.
I like it when you can be a little colorful and get away with it.
And get away with it. Yeah.